What is up, everyone? Heathen here, and today I'm going to go over some of the essentials to survive in the first Berserker Khazan. There's quite a few things this game lets you figure out on your own, so we're going to go over as many of those as we can cover today. The first thing I want to focus on is weapon choice. I will stress that no one weapon variety is better than any other. It all depends on the player and how you want to play the game. So whether you want to go dual wield for dodge-centric gameplay, you want to go greatsword for big bonk stick, or you want to go spear for a stamina breaking style of gameplay, they're all equal in the right hand. So I wouldn't say any of these is the best, better, or worst choice. It's all really how you like to play the game, and I would suggest just giving all equal a good try. I started out with greatsword for a long time and I switched to spear. Just give them all a fair chance and see which works best for you. There are a few different ways to get upgraded weapons. The first is, of course, drops from chests or monsters. The second is from vendors, like our friend Dumuk here, or the blacksmith downstairs, crafting weapons. You do unlock this guy after you beat Oratra, the spider boss, so look out for him. The next major point I want to focus on is player stat development. I believe the most important thing you can do with your stats first is leveling your vitality and endurance both to 30. I wouldn't touch any of the strength, willpower, or proficiency until then. These bosses have a lot of health, so fights can sometimes be pretty lengthy, so you want to level those two up to 30 before you do anything else. Once those get to 30, you can go ahead and focus on your main weapon stat. The stats are greatsword would be strength, dual wield would be willpower, and spear would be proficiency. Each weapon does have a secondary stat, but I would not recommend putting any points into that until you've reached the final soft cap of 60 for vitality, endurance, and your main weapon stat. Mine is proficiency, so I'm still working on getting that up to 60 before I touch willpower, which is my secondary stat for spear. When it comes to skill points, in this game, they are completely free to refund, so you can refund them as many times as you want with this Y unlearn button at the bottom of the screen here. I would just give all of these a fair chance. A lot of these have combos that work with each other. You can use a lot of these in succession for damage boosts, and we also have the common skills, which are used throughout all three of the weapon types, so I would not sleep on these either. They're very, very important. So I would suggest giving all of these a fair chance, regardless of your playstyle, just to see which works best for you, because there's a ton of different options, and they're all pretty fantastic used in the right way. Armor sets are our next big point here. We're going to focus on. The game puts a extremely large emphasis on set bonuses. So if you're using a set with no bonuses, I would highly suggest changing to a set that has bonuses, especially if they focus on the area or the boss you're on. For example, the poison resistance set, the Slayer set, it was 250 to poison resistance. I used this going through that spider area. It was basically a classic Miyazaki poison swamp. Another example of an extremely useful set is the Hunter's set. This gives 25% damage increase to Dragonkin. You can see there on the right. This is extremely useful against the dragons, which you fight for a large part of the first half of the game, and also one of the bosses most people get stuck on, which is Viper. I used this against Viper and it completely changed the game for me. This, coupled with me changing my stats to the 30 vitality and 30 endurance, let me get past him pretty easy. So I would give that a shot, and just make sure you're catering your sets not only to fashion, which I know I love fashion souls just as much as the next guy, but cater your set to the boss and the area that you're in, because they're all very, very useful, and it's very, very important to progressing this game. Our next focus is going to be Lacrima of Circulation and the spirit summons we're able to use on bosses. These spirit summons can be farmed from the red ghost prompts hanging around the areas after you reach a certain point in the game. I found the best way to handle these guys is to kind of open with a large charged heavy attack, break a large portion of their stamina, and then be aggressive. You can take them down pretty easy, and they're not too hard to farm. You can soften them up pretty quick if you stay on them and don't let them heal. These spirits can also be upgraded with our friend Defrona here by using Lacrima of Circulation, so we can pop his stamina, damage, and health up. They take a certain amount. I believe they start at 1 and go up from there by 2, or maybe they start at 2 and go by 2s from there. Extremely useful if you want your spirit summon to survive longer. Right at the beginning of the game, not being upgraded, they go down pretty quick and they're not very useful. Another point to make here is there is this red portal up here. It is very important to pop back and forth here. It's almost impossible not to, since most of your vendors are on this side and most of your quest objectives on the other side. But I will say, after you finish a main boss and complete a main mission, it's very important to go around and talk to each one of the NPCs, because this is how you're going to get your side quests. And a lot of these side quests can't be progressed until you talk to these NPCs. I believe it will tell you next to the side quest who you need to talk to, but for me, I just find it easier to go around, give everybody a little chat after I finish a main mission, and make sure I've got all that information from them, all the little bits of lore they give, and all the side quests I need to go ahead and progress on to the next area. Last point I want to talk about here is crafting with our smith friend. Now, he does have a lot of options on what to craft, how to craft. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, I missed this for a long time. You can switch the rarity of the items you want to craft: uncommon, rare, unique, common. This will cost different materials and different levels of items. So if you are just going for the bard set to go and farm up something, you want that extra item discovery, but you don't want to spend a bunch of your good treated items on that. So I can just go over to common, make the bard set, and I still get all of that Lacrima gain, weapon drop, high item drop from the set, but I don't have to use all my expensive pieces I want to save for the good armor sets I'm actually going to use against bosses. And that is it for today, guys. That is all of the starter essentials I have for you. I do have a link to my infinite Lacrima farm, infinite money farm, here in the description of this video, so go ahead and check that out if that's something you're interested in. It is an exploit that has not been patched yet. I don't believe they have any plans to patch it. I think it's a feature of the game and not an error on their end. So I hope this helps you guys out. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.